So it's the morning after the night before, and we are still in the Europa League but that was nowhere near good enough. This is the Villarreal versus Arsenal match review. Hello, my name is Richard. Welcome back to my channel over and over and over again. In this video, I'm going to look back on last night's rather shambolic Europa League semi-final first leg tie here in Villarreal, which of course ended in a disappointing 2-1 defeat, rather a fortunate 2-1 defeat actually, which we'll come into. I'm going to look at the lineup, I'm going to analyse the team performance, and I'm going to try and select a man of the match. Just before I get into all that, I want to make sure that you are subscribing to my channel. If you enjoy what I do, please click the subscribe button. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like as well. And if you've got any comments at all to make about last night's shambolic performance or anything else to do with Arsenal, please drop them in the comments box below. I do love to hear from you guys, and I will try to reply to as many as I can. So I suppose this is where the problem started, didn't they, in the team lineup going into a European semi-final away leg where away goals are so important without a recognised striker. It did seem like a very strange decision from Mikel Arteta. In fact, it was only one change from the Everton game that saw Martin Odegaard come in for Eddie Nketiah. So this was how we lined up this. So it was Bernd Leno in goal, kept his place despite that mistake against Everton. The back four, again, it was the same as the previous game. It was Chambers at right back, Rob Holding, Pablo Mari and Granit Xhaka again at left back, despite the threat from their right wing. The two in midfield again was Partey and Ceballos, and then I say it was Odegaard in the number 10 position, and then the front three would be Saka, Smith Rowe and Pepe. So no actual striker. It looks as though maybe Pepe was going to be playing through the middle, but as it turned out, he was on the left, Saka was on the right, and it was almost like Smith Rowe and Odegaard were almost false number 9s or false number 10s or whatever you want to call it. But either way, it was a strange formation to play in a game like this, and it clearly didn't work. In terms of the Villarreal side, of course, they did have former Premier League player Etienne Capoue in midfield. Of course, he played for Tottenham and Watford previously, and also they had Tottenham loanee Foyth at right back for them as well, while also our former player Francis Coquelin was on the bench, and he would come on later. So that first half then, quite frankly, was the most embarrassing, pathetic performance I think I've seen from an Arsenal side for a very long time. Probably since the second half in Baku, actually, which oddly enough was with Unai Emery in charge. You have to say Villarreal played well. They had a plan to play against us, and it clearly worked in that first half. They got the early goal, of course, which helped settle them down. We knew that the problem was going to be on our left-hand side of defence with Granit Xhaka, and that was exactly where it came from. The winger for Villarreal, Chukwueze, got past Granit Xhaka, and the ball fell kindly to Trigaros, who fired across Bernal into the far corner of the net. Really, really poor start from Arsenal. But what you expect in a semi-final is a response. You expect some fight, but the rest of that first half, Arsenal were in second gear. We wasn't pressing, we wasn't doing anything. We were just letting Villarreal dictate the play from front to back, and in the end we were fortunate maybe to only be 2-0 down at half time. The second goal was just schoolboy defending from a corner, a free header from 6 yards from their top scorer Moreno, and coming round the back was the defender Albiol to fire into the roof of the net. A really poor goal to concede. In between those two goals though, in our only attack of that first half, we had won a penalty when Nicolas Pepe was brought down just inside the penalty area. However, as soon as you saw the replay in the build-up, Pepe had controlled the ball with his arm, and it was never going to be awarded. But that is the second penalty in consecutive games that we've had overturned. Just before half-time, Dani Ceballos, of course, got booked for a very cynical foul on a Villarreal midfield player who was breaking towards the penalty area, and maybe that would have been the time to think about taking him off at half-time. Clearly, changes needed to be made. Three strikers on the bench in Martinelli, Eddie Nketiah and Aubameyang. Fair enough, Aubameyang may not have been fit enough to have played 45 minutes, but certainly the other two were there and ready to come on. We needed a change of shape in the second half, fully expecting at least 2 substitutions at half-time. But no, we came out with the same players, playing a similar system, and yes, we did come out with a little bit more intensity at the start of the second half. But right at the very beginning, Dani Ceballos committed another foul on a halfway line. It was obvious he was treading a very thin line. That was the time to take him off to save him from getting the red card. But no, Arteta kept him on, and sure enough, 5 minutes later, he commits another foul. Very unfortunate, actually. It may not even have been a foul, but it was probably a totting up process from the previous incident. The second yellow card, and Dani Ceballos was off. And here we were in the first leg of this semi-final, 2-0 down away from home, having to play with 10 men. That was maybe the thing that sparked us into life a little bit, almost as though the players forgot all the ridiculous instructions that they'd been given from the coach and just went out and tried to play some football. And actually we looked a lot better with 10 men. In fact, so much so that we did manage to somehow find a way back into this tie. Bukayo Saka ran at the Villarreal defence, got into the penalty area and went down. Referee gave the penalty. Now, at first it looked a decent enough decision by the referee, but when you saw the replay, it was quite clear that Bukayo Saka had put his foot onto the Villarreal defender and thrown himself to the floor. Very Harry Kane-esque in the way that he executed that. Mo Salah, of course, is expert at that as well. I must admit, I fully expected Villarreal to see that and overturn the decision, but no, they didn't. And finally, after all the poor decisions that we've had go against us in recent weeks, we did get a very soft penalty go our way. Obviously, we're not going to complain about it, but that was the softest of soft penalties. And Nicolas Pepe stepped up to make it 2-1 and give us that important away goal. It wasn't long after that, actually, that Villarreal were also reduced to 10 men when Capoue had already been booked, committed another foul on Bukayo Saka. Again, you look at the replay of that, and what happened was he slipped actually on the pitch just before he came on to challenge Bukayo Saka, and although he did slide into him, it certainly wasn't an intentional foul, and I thought that his second yellow card was actually quite harsh. In fact, Capoue was off on a stretcher, having injured himself in the process. So it was 10 aside for the final 15 minutes of this game. But Arteta's maybe got away with one there because this was a nowhere near good enough performance. And the fact that we're still in the tie is more down to luck than anything else. It was never a penalty to start with. The performance certainly didn't warrant just a 2-1 defeat. And quite honestly, I don't see how we can go forward with this manager. His decisions are baffling, his team selections are baffling. I mean, why would you play a semi-final without a recognised striker? You only would surely do that if you had no fit strikers in the squad, but you had 3 on the bench. Surely you've got to put a striker on that pitch. And if it wasn't working in the first 25 minutes, which it clearly wasn't, make the change. Arteta doesn't seem to know what he's doing. I've said it before, he's a tactics ball coach. I think he's got some great ideas, and I'm sure with better players around him, maybe it might work. But you can clearly see the difference in the two coaches last night. Unai Emery, who got sacked from Arsenal when it wasn't really working out, he came with a plan. He knew his players and he knew how to get the best out of them, and he knew which tactics would work in this game, and the players carried it out. He didn't do that enough at Arsenal, and maybe the communication was the issue, but you can clearly see the difference in the experience of the coaches and what they can bring. And maybe we were too harsh getting rid of Unai Emery. I'm not saying that he was the right man because it wasn't working out at that time, but when you look at what Arteta's got away with and what Unai Emery wasn't allowed to, then you've got to question the people that's making the decisions at the club. I don't blame the players for this last night at all. They were confused by the tactics. They clearly didn't buy into the ideas that they were being told. And at the end of the day, when you lose the players, you've got no chance. So, I mean, a man of the match is going to be quite difficult, isn't it? I thought defensively we're all over the place in the first half. Callum Chambers cannot be our best option at right back when you've got Cedric sitting on the bench, who's actually been playing pretty well there. Baffling decision that from Arteta. Didn't have a great game. The central defensive pairing of Holding and Mari, for me, has never really worked. I just don't think that they complement each other particularly well. Rob Holding being captain is an absolute joke as well. And obviously Xhaka at left back was always going to struggle against that right winger, wasn't he? And that was what led to the first goal. He didn't do too bad actually after that, but we miss his presence in midfield. And again, we've got Cedric on the bench, who's a natural fullback. Why on earth is he not playing him? In midfield, I thought Thomas Partey, typical Thomas Partey performance, good and bad. Some great through balls, particularly that one late on for Aubameyang, but also gave the ball away far too much. And it's just not quite working for him in our midfield at the moment, is it? Next to him, Dani Ceballos, an absolute liability he's been in this Europa League. He's tried his best to get us knocked out on a few occasions, and this was his latest effort last night. Really, really poor from him, and I would leave him over in Spain and not bring him back. In the front four, again, didn't really get the opportunity to get into the game much. Odegaard, I'm not sure how fit he was. Didn't have any any influence on this game at all and ended up getting taken off. At least Saka was driving forward and trying to make things happen and did a call to win the penalty. Wasn't really Smith Rowe's night. He didn't get much influence on this game at all. And the same with Nicolas Pepe. The positions that they were playing, it didn't maybe suit them at all. There wasn't a lot of support around them, and yeah, it just wasn't their night at all. So I can only really give the man of the match to one man, the one who was criticised last week for his terrible mistake against Everton. It has to be Bernd Leno. At 2-0 down, he made a couple of good saves, particularly the one from Moreno where he tipped it over the bar. If that had gone in at 3-0 down, it was game over, semi-final over, season over. And he's at least kept us in the game with that save. And I thought overall he had a decent enough game. Couldn't do anything about the 2 goals. Certainly not his fault for them. And I thought he had a steady game. So for me, the man of the match is going to go to Bernd Leno. So we are still in it then, let's face it. A 2-1 defeat away from home in the first leg of a European tie is not a disastrous result by any means. A 1-0 victory at home takes us through. However, our home form has been absolutely dreadful, and I can't see us keeping a clean sheet against this team. We've got some very good attacking players, as we saw. Plus as well, the fact that we need to score is going to leave a few spaces behind for them to exploit later on in that game. I think a lot of our chances now are going to depend on the fitness of certain players. Is Kieran Tierney going to be fit? I very much doubt it. Will Lacazette be fit up front? Again, I very much doubt it. Aubameyang may well be, and that's going to maybe improve our chances of scoring a goal perhaps. Certainly if he can get back to the form that we know he's capable of. But we know next week is going to be a really, really tough game. Villarreal have won all 3 of their previous away ties in this knockout stage without conceding a goal, and they're certainly going to be confident coming to the Emirates. Emery knows the place, he knows the players. Next week's going to be a massive game, but even if we do win and go through to the final, and even if we somehow manage to beat Manchester United in Poland, I still wouldn't be keeping Arteta on next season. I think he's clearly shown that he's not the right man to take this club forward. There's been too many poor performances like this, too many baffling team selections, too many poor tactical decisions. And some of the things that he comes out with in the after-match press conferences, again, are baffling. He's out of his depth. I feel sorry for him a little bit because that's not his fault. I feel sorry for the players as well because they clearly have got a lot more to give than he's able to get out of them. So for me, this season is going to be the end for Mikel Arteta, one way or the other. It's got to be. Let's just hope he can go out by winning the Champions League and at least giving a new manager the opportunity to build a team that can compete in the Premier European competition. So that's my review there of last night. It's a really poor performance here in Villarreal. But we are still in the competition. We have still got a chance of getting through to the final. Let's hope next week we can put in a sort of performance that we did against Slavia Prague away in the last round. I'm not confident that we can, but you never know. So let's hope that we can. Coming up on the channel, there's a load of good stuff coming up over this next few days. Tonight I've got my Newcastle pre-match warm-up show that's going out at 8 o'clock. Melvin's coming on, and also I've got Newcastle fan Barry as well. He's from the Four Horsemen show on the Toon Review. That's going to be good. I'm also actually on the Toon Review as well a little bit earlier in the evening at 6:30. So tune in there for that as well with a preview of the match. Then tomorrow I'm on Barry's channel as well for again a preview of the Newcastle game. I'll also be doing a watch along of that game on Sunday. The kickoff's at 2 o'clock, so I'll probably go live about 1:45 with all the usual build up and team news, etc. Once we've got that game out of the way, we're going to be looking ahead to the second leg of this semi-final. I hope to get a live show out as well at some point early next week before we build up towards the big game at the Emirates next Thursday. So loads coming up on the channel. So if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like as well. Please let me know your thoughts on the game last night, on the team. Is this the end for Arteta? I honestly can't see a way back for him from this performance. Even if we do manage to scrape through to the final and win it, I still think he's got to go. He's not the right man. But let me know what you think in the comments below. I say stay tuned. Thanks for your support of the channel. Thanks for watching this video. So look out for the live show tonight at 8 o'clock. And in the meantime, of course, as always, come on, you Gunners!